pro startup, anti big tech. That is a very, very popular narrative today. I think you've said you can't really have that stance. Like those are contradictions to each other, being pro startup and anti tech or anti big tech. How do you kind of settle that or balance that idea?
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of like what we do at Bedrock, what I do is we're investing in these super early companies. Sometimes it's just a few ladies in an apartment in Brooklyn where they're quarantined, working on coding something up, and it's really just a bet on the people and the idea and the market opportunity. And implicit in doing that, you have to believe that it will one day be a big tech company. And so implicit in doing the early stage startup investing, in order to have that be a profitable endeavor, one has to believe that some of the companies that you're investing in, when it's just a few, men, ladies, whatever, however anyone wants to identify, their gender, a few people working together on something, when there's really nothing other than just their vision, their like raw abilities, and a market opportunity, and you're writing them a check just based on that, you've got to believe, like implicit that you hope it one day will be a huge tech company. And so I find it like this very convenient, but like completely incoherent position when I see technology investors who are just categorically like, we have to break up all the big tech companies. All the big tech companies are evil, but make their livings by investing in these early stage tech startups. Like, that to me just seems like an incoherent position. And there actually are more than a few. Again, I don't view myself as a venture capitalist. I'm an investor. Some people get to self-identify as VCs. I just self-identify as an investor. That's my personal identity, and I'm laying claim to that. But certain VCs out there are pretty vocal about the fact they think all the big tech companies are evil and need to be broken up by the government. But are making their living off investing in startups, and that feels very incoherent. Now, that's not to say that some of the big tech companies have done bad things and deserve to pay a price for doing those things, but I don't think being categorically anti-big tech is a coherent position.
Well, and it leads to this kind of thing that people forget, which is that every challenger or disruptor, if successful, becomes the man. Right. So I think that's kind of your point here. And we're seeing this play out perfectly with Apple versus Fortnite. And Apple is, they used to be the people in the garage, right? They were the ones who were going to go disrupt the tech world and kind of the computer science and software world. Now, everyone's pointing the finger saying, you're the big bad person who's, preventing me from running my business the way I want to run my business. And so how do you analyze Fortnite versus Apple? I know you called Fortnite's thing the greatest corporate propaganda ever. I tend to think when I saw it that it was absolutely awesome, that the way they kind of executed this whole thing. But talk a little bit just about that showdown between two really just heavyweights and over the financial relationship that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It was a brilliant move by Fortnite. You basically have this situation when you have Apple. Apple has been this just really important distribution channel for these companies, these games, these businesses, and the reality is that the reality is that when you're generating the demand, as Fortnite's doing, when you're generating the demand, you're able to capture more of the value. And so there's this 30% tax that Fortnite has to pay Apple, that Epic has to pay Apple to have Fortnite on the App Store, and yet they're able to generate their demand for Fortnite via all these different paths. They've got consoles, they've got other mobile devices, all sorts of ways people can engage with Fortnite. They are not completely path dependent on iOS, and so there's a sense in which my partner Eric Stromberg has this. My partner at Bedrock has this great website, screenshotessays.com, And he would sort of, I think, term the App Store like it's becoming more of a dumb pipe for media companies like Epic, like Fortnite, because they just have the leverage to negotiate down the tax. They're not fully path dependent on the App Store. And so, as Eric says, Epic was the first to make a move here, but they're not going to be the last.
Yeah. I also love the whole, it was such bait, right? It basically was like, let's negotiate. Okay, you're not going to cave. They just waited, and it's very obvious. They had the lawsuits ready. They had the marketing video ready. Like everything was lined up, and they went ahead and they just said, we're going to do it anyways. And then I didn't know this until recently. They actually sent an email to Apple saying, we just did this. So they didn't even wait for Apple to go find it. Like they basically said to them, we're putting the middle finger up. Apple took them off. And then that's when they kind of unleashed everything. And look, that's something you would have expected from Apple 30 years ago.